Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Dean Sridhar Sundaram. Dean, welcome on the show.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
Great to have you here. Let's start with the existential question. Who is Sridhar?
Great question. I'm a product of my parents and two very different people. A father who's inquisitive, insatiable desire for knowledge, can read anything, anywhere, and finds new information, and a mother who's a natural born leader. So on a personal front, I'm a good combination of both and a pragmatist, something that tries to live. And I feel like it's important for me. Those are key elements of who I am.
Amazing. And I can't think of anybody better than you to do what you do and to lead an entire generation, multiple generations, in fact, of students and young minds that need that kind of mentoring and guidance. So, give us a sense for what the College of Business is, and also within the context of Cal State Fullerton. And what I love to learn about is the impact that your and your team's work has been able to create.
Thank you. One of the things that attracted me to Cal State Fullerton and the College of Business Economics is the fact that we are actually touching a large number of students. The college officially is over 10,000 students in fall of 2024. The university is at 43,000. So we are about a fifth, 22% of the university at this point in time. But what's interesting is that just not the numbers, right? We have half of our students are first generation.
Oh,
And so the ability to impact them, I feel, has a huge influence, not just in their lives, but as lives of their families for many years to come. So that opportunity and that responsibility is what keeps me going. Any bad day, all I have to do is to walk over to a student and go talk to him or her. And it brings it back to saying, this is why I chose to do what I'm doing here. And you asked me about the college itself. What is unique about our college is that it's not only the talent that we're developing here, but we also have 14 centers and 5 different programs that has huge connections within the community. So we have actually adopted a dual mission. Our primary mission is very much to look at a student-centered education that revolves around our philosophy of giving them an updated curriculum that gives them the technical knowledge that they need. But I strongly believe that they need to have the ability to apply the knowledge in a practical setting. So they have the confidence to build the gap between theory and practice. But most importantly, is a third thing that is close to my heart is helping them with personal and professional development. So why don't we talk about meeting the executive, setting up opportunities for them to hear from our alumni. These are all opportunities I feel strongly that it is important for us to create them for them. And the second part of it is really our community mission is to create positive societal impact, whether it's social or economic impact, we drive at both of them. And we work extremely closely with our centers to do that. And I'll give you a simple example. Last Friday, our Wood Center for Economic Analysis did a demographic and economic profile of the Little Saigon community. And that's one of the first studies we have done on a community like that. And it's going to serve as a benchmark study as you'll look at the future and also provide data for cities and others that are looking to apply for grants. That's the kind of impact we really plan to have. And truly, when we look at the economic impact, we are actually doing a trade mission to Vietnam next year. That, just to follow up on the example, is to building the partnership with businesses locally and the opportunity for them in a growing country like Vietnam. So that's just one example of what we do. And that's what excites me about this job and the position and why I came here.
and I think one thing we have talked about when you talk about the communal and the societal impact, you mentioned Vietnam, and you're taking students, you're taking your team there, uh, but also you have a pretty big international student contingent,
Right.
and the impact they have coming to this school and learning. And of course, a lot of them want to stay back and create an impact for local communities, but many of them end up going back to their home countries. And that footprint and that impact spreads from just outside of Fullerton, outside of Orange County, to many countries abroad.
Absolutely. And I think this is where we're taking the approach of building strategic partnerships with the universities and others in different countries. and the ability for not only to work with them to bring students here, but also to make sure that when the students come here, especially our international students, the ability to cater to their needs and be able to support them. Being an international student once myself, I understand and you understand, right? These are at the formative stages, getting the right help makes all the difference. So we strongly believe we have to do that, either to provide the opportunity here or for them to have a good career back in their home country. So those are some of the things we're working together with our strategic partners.
I'm curious to hear, with such a big footprint and so many different lives, many of them, as you said, are first generation coming to school. I would imagine there is a number of challenges you and the team have to face. And if I were to ask you to name the biggest or the one that keeps you up at night, what would that be?
The two things for us is that externally looking at is the demographics. If you look at, we know in all of the United States, the K through 12 population is not increasing. It's steady state or declining in most of the states. And so understanding that demographic shift that's coming and ready to be able to adapt to that is the existential threat for all of us looking at from a higher education perspective. The internal aspect is really is we are such a constrained system at Cal State Fullerton. Every day dealing with the bureaucracy to the right thing. And so keeping the morale of my team up to say, let's figure it out. Yes, it's one more obstacle, but we can still do this. So I think that's the challenge on a day-to-day basis, that we're trying to make our life a little bit better by working with teams to improve processes, both internally and within the university. But I think that's sometimes you really look at it and saying, why am I doing this if this is so hard? And it doesn't have to be. And I think that's the part. So we're really looking at externally understanding how we will adapt to the demographic shifts, and internally really challenging ourselves to say, how do we improve so that we can be much more efficient and impactful in the way we do things.
Sridhar, I really appreciate you being candid and transparent about the bureaucratic challenges. It's not easy to call them out, but that's a great sign of a leader who truly believes and is on the side of his or her team. So, love that.
Thank you.
Now, on the flip side of challenges come opportunities.
Right.
And if you were to call the one that most excites you, what would that be?
Yeah. So given our dual mission, I'm looking at the opportunities on the student side. Let me talk about first is that I'm a risk taker. I'm a finance guy. I take calculated risks and I make investments, and I treat our college just like any other business. I need to make investments that make sense. Sometimes it will, be very successful. Sometimes it may be a failure. It's okay. And I'm really building the culture within the team to say we have to continue to innovate. We cannot be stagnant. We need to be able to do that. And the opportunity, as you ask, is the ability to innovate, and that inspires our team. So we are actually reformulating our MBA program. And we have a task force of faculty that are excited about it. They're looking at it and saying, what can I do? Luckily, I've had the experience of putting together 3 different MBA programs from my previous institution that I'm able to bring the knowledge to. But we also did research. We had a consulting firm that we hired to do the research. So I've given the data to them, but we were benchmarking with the best practices, but saying, let's build some innovations. And here's how we're building innovations, is that as much as what we do in the classroom, I'm a strong believer the co-curricular is equally important. So whether we have a 5 to 7 year old, somebody with 5 to 7 years of work experience, what are things we can do for them that can be innovative? So we really are working on understanding themselves from a personality and strength finder, building some of these around the leading teams and throwing in an international trip. What is amazing is that even those with significant experience, when you go as a cohort, the learning experience is very different and you become very close friends over a short period of time. And so we're building those unique experiences and the ability to innovate. On the undergraduate side, we're building strategic partnership with a firm like Alteryx. We know data and technology is going to dominate. So I'm preparing our team to think about how do we move forward with building and embedding data and technology into our curriculum. But we cannot do this alone. Let's find strategic partners. And we have had great partners who come to support us. And on the community side, the opportunities are to really look at and saying, I was very fortunate in Michigan or in Florida, we were able to work extremely close to the community. So we have the opportunity to look at and saying, what does this community need? And can we innovate by bringing in maybe an AI-related accelerator program, working with a city or a partner like we have our Orange County Business Council, or looking at our partners in Irvine that we can work with. Those are the ability that I think excites me every day, is that what can we build that makes sense for the community and supports the community economic development so that we make it a slightly better place. And the same thing, the way we're accomplishing for our students with these innovations, where the idea is to make sure that they are best prepared when they leave the college and be ready to contribute to the organizations from day one.
I love that academia and industry are really being brought together, because I think in my own experience, having gone to school, it's disjointed and it's not necessarily helpful, especially when it comes to business or MBA programs. There has to be, the more you're intertwined with the industry, it gives you more real experience that you can hit the ground running.
I agree. And I think that's the part that, coming from a family business background, and I've always felt extremely comfortable having one foot in academia and one foot in the industry. And also with a finance background, we have always worked with the industry. And I think that is also a great way for me to keep updated about what's needed for our students, right? I think that's important, that as a leader, that I keep myself informed so that my leadership team understands it. And so we're able to bring in the needed skill set for our students.
Now, as we look forward, I want to pause and reflect and ask you to share two moments from either your personal or professional life. One where things did not work out as you had expected, and you used the word, so I'll use it. There
Yeah.
was failure, there was lessons. And then another instance where things exceeded your expectation and became a success beyond your imagination.
I'll tell you, the failure, let's talk about that, right? I think so. When I was in Michigan, my dean had asked for, we're in the backyard of Michigan and Michigan State, so we were creating a new MBA program. And he said, hey, I want something that I want to create an innovative program, but it cannot be the traditional. And I put my hand up and I said, happy to lead the task force, led it. We had a fantastic, very innovative 14-month program that had an internship built into it. But in 5 years, we had to sunset the program. There are some great lessons I learned. One is, you can have an innovative product, but I need to understand the business model. The cost that I have built in with the uniqueness of this was made the program quite expensive from a cost perspective. Two, I'm a finance guy. I knew how to build everything, but I forgot to market the program. Very important lesson. Now I'll never forget about that. But I learned so many lessons. We built an executive MBA program right after that, which is still thriving, which is very successful. So that was probably one of the best experiences of putting together a program. I learned a ton from bringing people together around innovative ideas and putting a good program together, but also having the understanding as a leader, if you can't scale the program, we will have to sunset at some point in time. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In academia, we love to start, but we never love to sunset anything. So that probably was a key moment in my professional life that I learned a lot from that experience, that even today I'm implementing that. On a personal side, I would say the success was that I'm not an overly religious person, but I'm a Hindu. But we have two young kids when we were in Michigan, and we wanted to give them an identity. So there was a group of people, or older people, and that had the financial resources, and there was a group of young people with young families. And we said, we need to build a temple. And actually, it took us 10 years, but we did it, and that temple serves the entire community. It's probably one of the most rewarding experiences for me from a personal and a community perspective, that we could be part of that. And I've served the board for many years as a treasurer, as a president, and a board chair, but more importantly, as one of the people that was really instrumental in helping build this, that serves so many people within that community there. On a success side, I would say that probably was the most rewarding and satisfying experience for me.
And I can resonate with that. It's a communal space. It brings a lot of people that have the faith together.
Right.
And the impact of that is going to stay here for many years, maybe generations to come.
You're
So
absolutely right. That's why we go back and we see that, and now it's the next group of leaders have taken over and continue to build upon it. And it's the most satisfying thing for you is, you know what, we were part of this.
yes, congratulations and kudos on that. And
Thank you.
also on, again, being very open, vulnerable, and transparent about your lessons and how I think a lot of people hesitate to use the word failure.
Yeah,
I come from the belief that failure is just part of the journey. And if we don't
that
fail, we don't learn, we don't improve, we don't get better. So I
I,
love how you kind of just take it in the stride and just keep going.
it's two sides of the coin. One is success, one is failure, and it's okay. We did our best, and sometimes there are things that come together, and there are sometimes things don't come together, and it's okay. We'll still learn a lot from it. So,
True. Now, a little lighthearted moment.
yeah.
I want to know, just knowing a little bit of your schedule, this may at best be a joke. What do you do to relax, have fun, kick back?
Oh, now, this is you're going to appreciate, Nathan, is that one of the things I learned is that there are certain things I don't compromise on. It is tennis is my game, and that has served me well to relieve me from the stress, but also take me to a place with a group of people that you're just Shri. You're one of the guys that is in the tennis court playing. You're having a good time, and it removes me completely out of this thing. And then you get your frustrations out, and it is a great way to get completely refresh yourself, both physically and mentally. And to a point where if I'm not in a great mood, my wife says, please get out and go play some tennis. Right? I have to come back in a better mood. So I think that has become my great savior has been tennis. And now I'm picking up some golf, but trust me, sometimes it's more frustrating to finish a round of golf, come back. So as
I
you
completely relate to that.
yeah, as a learner. But that has been for me that, and then social time with friends. I really make sure that there is a Friday evening or a Saturday that we are out with some friends, and or maybe just my wife and I myself, that we do have our time that's away from everything, so that we do have an opportunity to rejuvenate, even if you're just sitting on the couch and watching a movie. So
That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm looking forward to a game of tennis where we can,
absolutely.
yeah, mix and mingle and talk about a lot of things that does not work.
Absolutely. It is a great time. It's a fun way to meet people and from all walks of life. So
So true. Now, a favorite book or a podcast or a book can also be an audiobook.
it's interesting. So my dad loved JFK. He would read every book on JFK. And for me, there are two, leaders that influenced me heavily. And on the West Side, it is Lincoln, one of my favorite people. And so anytime I get a chance to read a book on him, I try to do that. But more and more these days, it's about leadership. The most recent one I'm reading actually is from this former president of UNLV, and he was at Arizona before that. It's about leadership. I think you're just curious to hear and see how the individuals approach that. And I'm a big fan of HBR, so Harvard Business Review. I read Harvard Business, I listen to the podcast there. And Simon Sinek is another, and people like him. I enjoy that because they force you to think. And really, there are some fundamental things. Asking the question of why, and it's a very fundamental thing, but I think it's great. There's not one particular thing. Now I'm gravitating more and more towards leadership strategy. Those are things that helps me. And now I'm very focused on learning more about understanding technology, especially this world of AI, where, when you talk to a lot of people, they talk about AI, but I'm not sure they have a complete comprehend understanding of it, just like me, very little understanding. So I'm trying to really say, okay, how do I get a better understanding? And every time I meet someone, I'll learn a little bit more and continue to read more articles on that space to educate myself so I can lead the organization better.
All great choices. Thank you for sharing. Now, on to my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
We call this the one line life lessons.
Ah,
So, all yours.
thank you. I'm going to give you a few. One of the first things I had to learn as a leader was that you have to be comfortable in your own skin. And so that meant for me that, yes, you can be nice, but you don't have to compromise on professionalism. I give respect and I take respect, but I'm going to be nice And as I said, why do I have to be an asshole before you respect me? So but I learned is that, no, I don't have to be that person. I can be who I am, but I can still people hold accountable. Number one, be comfortable in your own spin. Number two for me is really, I really believe in be the change agent you want to see, the change you want to see. And I believe very much in this saying that's attributed to Gandhi, in the sense that I can ask people to lead, people to change, what I need to see. But at the end of the day, said, if I don't take the step foot and take the responsibility, why should somebody else do that? I think so. For me, that's something that I feel very strongly about. The third one, I'm very much is who I am. Very strong believer in that I'm only as good as my team. So my team is really important. Having a good people, good culture, they can trust you, that you can trust them. That's key. We have fun, but we can also have debates, arguments. But at the end of the day, we're strong because we complement each other, not because we're the same. And so understanding that you're only as good as your team, I think is really important. And I completely agree. Culture beats strategy, always eats strategy, no question about it. So I really, really focus on building a strong culture in the organization. And this is where many people have helped me a lot, and in helping me understand what that means and how we continue to build upon it. But I really am focusing and spending more time in making sure we take care of the people here, before we do anything else. That's priority for us. But that's part of the culture we really are building. And the last one, again, this who I am, is that I'm humble enough to learn that I know very little, and I need to be able to learn from anyone and everyone. Everyone has something that I can learn from, and I strongly believe in that. And it's just something that I've seen over a period of time, that everybody has something that I can learn from, and I would highly recommend that to people. So those are my 5 things.
Thank you so much for sharing those. And I relate with every one of them, especially the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a 5-year-old can teach us so many things that either we've forgotten or we never knew and didn't have that perspective. So it's not about age, it's about just having that respect for the other person. And you can get so much more. Dean Sundaram, such a pleasure to have you and talk about your journey and story. Congratulations on all the successes, but thank you for being you and helping the community become a much better place. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for this engaging conversation, and also for all that you do. And I really appreciate it, and look forward to a lot more collaborations and working together with you.